All right, welcome back. In our last explainer, we really dug into the theory behind VLANs. Today, though, we're rolling up our sleeves and getting practical. We're going to shift from the what and why to the how, the actual configuration. So let's jump right in. Okay, so we've established that VLANs can separate devices logically. That's great. But how? How do we actually tell a switch? Hey, this computer belongs to the HR group, and that one over there belongs to IT. That's the big question, right? And that's exactly what we're going to answer today. Now, before we start typing a single command, hold on. There's one really important rule we have to get straight first. If you understand this one thing, I promise everything else we do today is going to click into place. And here it is. For what we're doing right now, VLAN configuration is a layer 2 only activity. What does that mean? It means forget about IP addresses for a minute. We're not doing any routing. The VLANs we're about to create, they won't be able to talk to each other. Not yet. Our entire focus is on creating that separation right there on the switch. So, how do we do it? Well, our main tool for the job is something called an access port. The best way to think about it is like a door to a specific room. An access port is just a switch port that leads to one VLAN, and only one. That's it. It's that simple. One port, one VLAN. And listen, this isn't some weird, abstract network thing. We're talking about the devices you see and use every single day. Your computer, the printer down the hall, your desk phone, even the servers. They all connect to the network using these access ports. All right, to make this really stick, let's use a super common example. Picture a single switch in a small office. We need to create 3 separate secure networks, one for HR, one for IT, and one for guests. So let's say we decide HR will be VLAN 10, IT gets VLAN 20, and guests will be on VLAN 30. Simple enough, right? And you know what's great? The whole configuration basically boils down to just 2 simple steps. First, we got to tell the switch that VLANs 10, 20, and 30 even exist. We literally create them. Then, second, we just assign the physical ports on the switch to one of those VLANs. That's the whole game. So let's take a look at step 1. Okay, so step 1, creating the VLANs themselves. Honestly, on most switches, this is super easy. You just go in and type VLAN 10. Boom, it's created. Then you can give it a friendly name, like name HR, and then you just rinse and repeat. VLAN 20, name IT, and so on for our guest network. Okay, this is a super important point. The VLAN ID, that number 10, is the part that's mandatory. That's what the switch actually uses to keep the traffic separate. The name, HR, that's totally optional. It's just a label for us, for the humans. The switch couldn't care less what you name it, but believe me, when you've got 50 VLANs, you'll be glad you named them. All right, step 2. The VLANs exist in the switch's brain. Now we have to actually assign a physical port to one of them. So let's say we want to put port fast Ethernet 0/1 into our HR VLAN, which is VLAN 10. It's just 3 quick commands. Let's walk through them. First, we type interface fast Ethernet 0/1. All this does is tell the switch, hey, pay attention, the next few things I say are only for this one specific port. We're basically drilling down to configure just that single interface. Next up, switch port mode access. This one is key. We are explicitly defining this port's job. We're telling it, your job is to be an access port. Remember that dedicated door to one room? This command locks it into being that kind of door. And the last step, switch port access VLAN 10. This is the final command that does the magic. We've picked our port, we've told it its job, and now we are officially putting it into VLAN 10. Done. From now on, any device you plug into that port is on the HR network. So, okay, we've typed in a few lines of code, the switch didn't complain, but so what? What do we actually do? What does this look like in the real world? And this is where the magic of VLANs really shines. Physically, look at it. Nothing's changed. You still have a bunch of PCs plugged into one physical box with a bunch of cables, but logically, we've just turned that one box into 3 completely separate switches. The HR PCs are in their own little world, the IT PCs are in theirs, and they are totally isolated from each other. Here's what that means in practice. Let's say an HR computer sends out a broadcast message. That message hits the switch, enters VLAN 10, and it cannot leave. It's contained. A computer over in the ID department, sitting in VLAN 20, it will never see that message. It's like it doesn't even exist. It's as if they were plugged into 2 totally different switches in 2 different rooms.
So here's the absolute #1 takeaway. If you remember nothing else, remember this. A device's VLAN is determined entirely by the switch port it's plugged into. It has nothing to do with the computer itself, its settings, nothing. You can take a laptop from an HR port, plug it into an IT port, and poof, it's now on the IT network. The port defines the VLAN.
Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking, because it's a super common question. You're thinking, okay, this is cool, but what about the IP addresses? Where do they fit in? And the answer is they don't, at least not for what we've done so far. Remember that role we started with? This is all happening at layer 2. The switch is making all its decisions based on the port, not the IP address. Right now, that switch has zero ability to move traffic between the HR and IT VLANs. They're completely separate. And please, don't think this is just some basic exercise. Mastering these 2 steps, creating a VLAN and assigning an access port, this is the absolute foundation of modern networking. I mean it. If you get this down cold, everything that comes next, all the more advanced stuff, it's all going to make so much more sense. This is the bedrock. Which naturally leads us to the next big question, right? This is great for one switch, but what about a real office with multiple switches? If we've got HR and IT separated here, how do we make sure they stay separated on the switch on the next floor? How do VLANs travel between switches? Well, that is the perfect question to end on because that's exactly what we're going to cover next time. We'll get into something called trunked ports and a clever bit of tech known as 802.1q tagging. That's the secret sauce that makes it all work across a large network. See you then.